Hi, my name is Jace Vamathism, and I'm going to show you guys how to make a Now watch. It's a watch that says Now on it. I made it about a week ago. I saw the idea originally on Facebook a couple of years ago, but I've been kind of lackadaisical about making one myself. But since I have had some friends make theirs too, and it's helping us live in the present, and most specifically, the Now, which is good, and more specifically. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. It's a really simple process. It takes a little bit of time because you got to let your paint dry before you really want to glue on there. And then after I let it get glued on there, the Now I usually cut out, which you can just draw on. I do another coat of paint as well, so it takes a little bit of time for the drying processes. But other than that, it's actually pretty quick. I take a watch. So I was lucky to be given a couple watches from a friend, and I take a little bit of sandpaper. I sand down the glass. I've already sanded down the glass on this one a couple times, so it's already pretty scuffed up, so I'm just doing this to demonstrate what I do. You take that off, make sure it's nice and clean. I'm cleaning it off with my pants, but you can clean it off on a shop rag or whatever you wish. I have this little tiny paintbrush that I actually broke off the end of it so it fits my hand a little bit better, so I have a little bit better detail. I'm a house painter, so I can do small detail pretty well. And I'm just going to basically paint in the glass right here, and there's a natural little line that goes around it, which isn't actually natural really, but it's a line that goes around it where the glass and metal meets, making it really kind of easy for oil paint to seep in and making it a pretty easy thing to be done and accomplished. I'm going to open up my oil paint. This stuff's kind of gnarly, you don't really want to smell it, so that's why I kept it closed. I usually try to get a couple good drips on the watch before I start painting in the line, so I don't have to go back to it. Trying to get as much paint on there as I'm going to need. Laying the watch down flat if you can, and get the paint not on you too bad. And you gently just kind of circle in the line. And this is kind of where you can kind of make or break it. But it doesn't really matter because you can always kind of scuff it off once it gets on the metal if you do. I find this process actually be kind of incredibly easy for me. I paint a lot, being a house painter. Once I got it on there, it's nice and on there, I feel like the lines are all looking pretty good. Try to dab it a couple times to get out the little bubbles. Sometimes there'll be these little bubbles that will dry, make it have a little bit of imperfections. Sometimes just kind of brush off the rest of the paint on here, let this thing dry. It actually kind of benefits it to be really stiff to actually be able to make a better line. In this case, and I usually kind of wiggle it around for a second because it helps get those bubbles out. It's actually a really nice thing. And then I usually take this and I actually sit it on a heater. We have oil heaters at our house. We keep big rocks on them, and they're not, obviously it can't be flammable, but it helps dissipate the heat better. If you put it on a rock, it dries it a lot quicker compared to just letting it off gas and sit in your house for a little while. But I have some that are already done, so I'm going to set this one off to the side for a moment. I have these ones that are already dry. I'm actually going to use this one because I'm making it for a friend. I'm going to give it to her at yoga class on Wednesday. And I cut out my Nows instead of just hand drawing them on or painting them on. I think it's kind of cute to cut out a Now, and they're kind of easy to find now and then. If you can find a magazine and just read through, and all of a sudden you'll find, hey, Now. And so you're going to take that, and I'm using all-purpose glue. You can use all different types of glue, but try to find a glue that you have laying around your house that dries see-through, preferably, or at least pretty translucent. Put some on here, kind of just dab it on. I only really need a tiny, tiny bit. Just rub it on the back of it. Trying to make a good, pretty even coat. Can't really screw up any part of this process. This is actually kind of nice. And then you just basically eyeball it, put it on there, trying to get it a fairly similar placement to, side to side. Then I usually just press it on with my thumb for a couple seconds, trying to get it to dry pretty well. I usually would put it back on the rock or the oil heater for a second to let it dry really quick. This glue sets up incredibly quick and sets up see-through, which is really nice. But what I do is I take a little bit more of the glue and I rub a little layer on top of it along the seams of the sides of it so it stays on there better. And this glue sets up really see-through, so you can actually use a pretty generous portion. You have to use just a little bit. So there's more on here than you can really see. But once that dries, I usually do another layer of glue, and then once that's all done, I paint around the perimeter of it. Obviously not on the now, but I paint around the perimeter of it again, just to make it so it has a little bit better longevity, in my opinion. Or so I make up. I've only had mine for a week, but it seems to be holding up pretty well. But that's practically the process. It's unbelievably simple, super easy, and every time you look at your watch, you'll remember to live in the now. Thank you very much for watching.